While air travel has long been considered the safest and most efficient mode of transportation, the 9/11 attacks drastically altered passenger rights in the name of national security. Before 2001, air travel was relatively simple. Security measures were minimal, passengers faced little security, and personal freedoms at airports were largely intact. However, after the attacks, the US government implemented sweeping changes such as the Patriot Act and the creation of TSA. These policies sparked a debate. How much freedom should be sacrificed for safety? In this documentary, we will explore the balance between passenger rights and the government's responsibilities, the impact of post 9/11 security measures, and the ongoing debate over civil liberties in aviation. To understand why 9/11 happened, we need to examine the historical and geopolitical tensions that fueled the attacks. The 1948 Arab-Israeli War, the 1979 Iranian Revolution, and the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan all played roles in shaping modern terrorism. The Soviet-Afghan War led to the rise of the Mujahideen, an Islamic militant group which later split into organizations like the Taliban and Al-Qaeda. Meanwhile, U.S. involvement in the Middle East, particularly in its military presence in Saudi Arabia after the Gulf War, was seen by extremists as unacceptable interference. Osama bin Laden, once allied the U.S. during the Soviet-Afghan conflict, turned against America, citing its support of Israel and military presence in Muslim-majority countries. As justified for jihad, these grievances ultimately culminated in the deadliest terrorist attack on U.S. soil.
On the morning of September 11, 2001, four coordinated hijackings would change the modern world's landscape forever. At 7:59 a.m., American Airlines Flight 11 departs Boston, headed for Los Angeles. Lead hijacker and ringleader of the operation, Muhammad Atta, along with four other hijackers, are on board. 8:14 a.m., United Airlines Flight 175 departs Boston, 14 minutes after Flight 11, also headed for Los Angeles. Lead hijacker Moran al-Shahid with four others are on board. Flight 11 is hijacked during this time as well. 8:20 a.m., American Airlines Flight 77 departs 10 minutes late from Dulles, bound for Los Angeles. Lead hijacker Hani Hanjour with four others are on board. 8:42 a.m., United Airlines Flight 93 departs Newark, 42 minutes late, headed for San Francisco. Lead hijacker Zaid Zarai, along with three others, are on board. Flight 175 is hijacked soon after this. 8:46 a.m., Flight 11 crashes into the north face of the World Trade Center's North Tower. A few minutes later, Flight 77 is hijacked.
Look at least
9:03 a.m., Flight 175 crashes into the south face of WTC's South Tower. Sometime after, Flight 93 is hijacked.
Apparently that was another plane. We have a witness who we just
9:37 a.m., Flight 77 crashes into the western side of the Pentagon. 9:57 a.m., passengers of Flight 93 like Todd Beamer and Mark Bingham planned and enacted a revolt against the hijackers. 9:59 a.m., the South Tower collapses 56 minutes after impact. "10:03 a.m., Flight 93 crashes into a field in Shanksville, Pennsylvania by the hijackers as a result of fighting in the cockpit. 10:28 a.m., the North Tower collapses 1 hour and 42 minutes after impact, taking the Marriott Hotel with it as it falls on top of it. These hijacks would kill nearly 3,000 people and forever alter the landscape of global security."
It's collapsing inward and it's imploding. This is a horrific situation you're watching, ladies and gentlemen.
In the wake of 9/11, the U.S. government took swift action to prevent future attacks. This included the uniting and strengthening America by providing appropriate tools required to intercept and obstruct terrorism, USA Patriot Act of 2001. It would be enacted October 26, 2001.
Understand this.
The Patriot Act would grant law enforcement unprecedented surveillance powers, including monitoring phone calls and financial transactions. However, it raised concerns about privacy violations and government overreach. Transportation Security Administration was formed on November 19, 2001. This would turn airport security into a federal responsibility, implementing strict screening procedures that remain in place today. Although some concerns were brought up on how efficient the new screening processes were. Another was the United States Department of Homeland Security. It began operations March 1st, 2003 as a result of the Homeland Security Act of 2002. It was consolidate agencies like Customs and Border Protection and the Secret Service to prevent future terrorist attack. There have been critics that have actually criticized DHS for being ineffective at its job. These measures significantly increase security but also raise concerns about racial profiling, personal privacy, and delays in travel.
While increased security may have prevented further attacks, it has also led to an ongoing debates about personal freedoms. Racial and religious profiling. Many passengers, particularly Muslims and people of Middle Eastern descent, reported being unfairly targeted by TSA scannings. Invasive security measures. The introduction of the body scanners and pat-downs led to concerns about privacy violations. Passenger advocacy groups. Organizations like the ACLU have challenged TSA policies, arguing that security measures infringe upon constitutional rights. While these security measures were meant to keep passengers safe, they have also led to frustration, inconvenience, and in some cases, discrimination. In 2002, passengers had to pay a security fee. This meant that passengers had to pay extra on their tickets just to fly. In 2002, the airports have collected a total of $995 million from passengers just to pay for security fees. From 2002 to 2024, the total collection grew by an astonishing 351.4%. In 2023, airports collected $4.29 billion from passengers. Then, in 2024, they collected $4.49 billion. They collected all this money by security fees.
2 decades after 9/11, the question remains, have we struck the right balance between security and civil liberties? Supporters of strict security measures argue that there have been no major attacks on U.S. soil since 9/11, proving that these policies work. However, critics argue that increased surveillance and invasive screening have eroded fundamental rights without clear evidence that they prevent terrorism. The 2013 Edward Snowden leaks revealed the mass surveillance programs were far broader than the public realized, reigniting debate over government overreach. The question we must ask ourselves is, how much freedom are we willing to sacrifice for our safety?
The attacks of September 11th, 2001, reshaped the world, especially for air travelers. While security measures have undoubtedly prevented potential threats, they have also come at the cost of our personal freedoms. Moving forward, we must ask ourselves, can we improve security without compromising civil liberties? Can new technology make travel both safe and efficient? The conversation about passenger rights is far from over.